Mobile home parks. It's the most recession-resistant, supply-constrained, cash-flowing asset in American real estate. Hey y'all, I'm Tim Woodbridge with WCG Investments. Thank you so much for joining me today. My partners Vinny and Matthias could not be here, but I decided to go on without them and talk to you a little bit about our first deal in our WCG Growth Fund. Here's what we're looking at right now. Here's this really great deal that we're excited about that's under contract. So let's discuss a little bit about mobile home parks and why we like them so much. First, here's a little, disclosures. We're a 506c. We only allow accredited investors into our fund. So let's talk about the housing crisis. We got $3.8 million homes that America is short on right now. That's 3.8 million families. Everyone talks about the affordable housing crisis, but not a whole ton of people are doing things about it. That number, it's not just a number. It's real people who can't afford to buy, who are struggling to rent, who need a safe, dignified place to live, and they can't find one. And as we all know, things are just getting worse and worse. You hear it on the news all the time. It's not an abstract market problem. 50% of American renters are cost burdened, spending more than 30% of income on housing. That reflects what people are able to do and afford, and really just creating needless struggle. $400,000 is your average home price in America, which is crazy to think, but it is true. Most people are just priced out, and a lot of people, my generation and the generation after me, are just saying, we'll never afford anything, and it's unfortunate. You got 22 million Americans that already call mobile home parks home. $650 is the average monthly lot rent in a well-run mobile home park. Definitely a fraction of what it costs to live in many other apartments, houses, things like that. What's great about this is that this number is affordable to your single mom who's just trying to make ends meet. It's affordable for most blue-collar workers. And we allow people to live dignified lives in great communities. That's just the beginning of it. The demand side is bad. Of course, people want and need affordable housing, but the supply side is even worse. You got mobile home parks being destroyed because people are selling for highest and best use, meaning they can get a lot more money if they sell to apartment developers. You got municipalities that are not generally allowing land to be zoned for new mobile home parks for a lot of reasons. Not in my backyard. I don't want this around. But also, the reality is they don't bring in much in taxes compared to, an apartment building, a bunch of single family homes. The money's really low in terms of what it brings in for taxes. And so it makes sense that a municipality doesn't want this. Why zone for a mobile home park when they can zone for that apartment building and get 2, 3, 4 times as much in taxes? And then you got all these big players that are buying these communities. And what that does is makes it so they come in and they jack up rent day one. And they just make it really difficult for people to move in, as well as they make it difficult for the normal buyer like WCG to get into the space. It really priced out a lot. And the existing parks, the mom and pop parks, are really aging and mismanaged. Many parks that we are looking to purchase or have purchased are being run by the same people who created them. And that's great, except a lot of times that leaves a lot of CapEx, a lot of capital improvements to be taken care of. In our park in Oklahoma City, when we bought it, there was the guy who had owned it for decades was doing everything himself. And there needed a lot of infrastructure updating to make things safer and easier for residents. That was the first thing that we did. We got in and we fixed that up. So that's the value that we're able to add. So with that, there is a solution hiding in plain sight. Mobile home parks. It's the most recession-resistant, supply-constrained, cash-flowing asset in American real estate. And you'll hear me say that a lot, recession-resistant. When COVID hit, we didn't have much of a difference in people paying. When the market turns down, when things get a little rough, we stay occupied in very similar ways as we were before. Our NOI remains relatively unchanged. We're talking mobile home parks, and a lot of times residents will own their own homes, so they'll stay in the area for 5, 10, 15 years. And it's a great place for someone to live for a long time in an affordable way in their own home. Rents are far below market. On top of that, we create the value. So we raise rents slowly, while also fixing up the parks, just improving the value of the parks. So why WCG loves the asset class? Again, recession resistant. We love sleeping at night, and running these parks allows us to do that. And there's an ever growing demand. Again, the affordable housing crisis is there. With that growing demand and the fixed supply, that means that the need for affordable housing keeps going up and our pricing power goes up. So with our fixed supply and an ever increasing demand, that just makes the pricing for what we have more and more valuable. We have forced appreciation. We drive the NOI up with adjusting small levers. Like I said earlier, there's small little rent increases, maximizing the efficiency of our expenses so we can lower those expenses. Both of those increase that net operating income and increase the value of the parks. We got low operating costs. That's one of the things that really attracted me to mobile home parks in the beginning, was the lower operating expenses. Low turnover, same thing. You got sticky tenants. They stay for years and years, if not decades. One of the things almost no one knows about and no one talks about is how tax advantaged mobile home parks are. We're generally shooting for $1.25 to $1.50 plus in year one depreciation for every dollar that is invested. And if you want to know how that applies to you, book a call with us and we can kind of break that down for you. Again, this is our team. I'm the only one here today. My name's Tim, the CEO of WCG Investments. I also run the acquisitions. I am a former nurse, retired about 4.5 years ago, and really love mobile home parks in that, we can create wins for everyone. We create these communities, places that give affordability while not sacrificing the community. We enjoy that we can make nice places to live for people. My partner, 𝗪ciecie𝗱𝗯𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗲, he's our operations lead, the former COO in the automotive world, really great at details. My partner, 𝗪ciecie𝗱𝗱𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗲, is our investor relations lead. If y'all need anything, shoot him an email and he'll make sure to take care of you. And then his wife, 𝗪ciecie𝗱𝗱𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗏, our partner, our due diligence lead, she leaves no stone unturned while we are under contract on the deal to make sure that when we close, we know exactly the ins and outs of everything that we're buying. Our track record, we currently own and have under management 25 parks, 25 communities, a little over 1,100 lots, 45 million AUM in 5 states across the South and Southeast. The big thing here is that we do the same thing over and over and over because we know what we're good at. We know what we're comfortable with. We know what we say hard passes to and deals that we say no to. And you can see it's just the same thing over and over and over again. We know that if we buy this for this much, we can reasonably get our investors this through this same business plan that we've done a ton of times. And that's what we like, going after what we're good at. And now let's talk a little bit about the deal in the fund. So why this market? This first deal is in the Northeast Alabama, Anniston, Oxford, Jacksonville MSA market. It's right along the I-20. About 60 miles, about an hour outside of Birmingham. So it's 5 parks. There's no zoning restriction. It's, again, across the I-20. There's a lot of different anchor institutions. So you got Jacksonville State University, and there's a lot of different employers in these towns. So why Alabama? We love no rent control laws. We love no zoning restrictions, depending on the area in Alabama. It's very investor friendly. Low property taxes, no state income taxes on the LLC pass-through. Specifically, there's a lot of manufacturing, healthcare, logistics jobs in these towns. there's, again, if the I-20 goes right through it. So there's a lot of life coming through and living in the area. And then again, the mobile home community fundamentals, there's a limited new supply. In this area, there's a steady workforce housing demand, which is what this is, workforce housing. And currently, there's below market rents and a relatively easy path for slowly but surely going up to market. So in this deal, it's a 5-part portfolio. We're buying it for $400,000 off asking. Our business plan is simple. That's the name of our games. We like simple, repeatable processes. We will go up, $50 in rent year one, $25 per year after. And that, we love the slow rent increase to normalization up to market rents. We're going to infill 21 vacant lots, but we're going to do that over the 7 years. We're not planning to come in and, our business plan doesn't need us to move mountains and infill a ton in the first year. So it's a slow, gradual process. Convert 41 vacant park-owned homes into long-term rent-to-own contract units. What was cool also in our last visit, looked all the homes, and a lot of these need a lot less than we had initially anticipated to get them ready for people to move in. So that's a nice bonus. In-place NOI, it's $818,000. At a $7.85 million purchase price, you'll see that is over a 10 cap. I think it's a 10.5 cap rate, which is unheard of generally in commercial real estate. This is a very, very cash flow heavy deal, which translates to great returns for our partners, our investor partners. One of my favorite things, super high DSCR. What that means is it's a very safe deal. Minimum they look for is 1.35 debt service coverage ratio, so you can pay your loan payment. This is way above that and very, very safe because of that. And yeah, it's a home run deal of something that we've done many, many times before. Our unfair advantages here as operators, like I said, we've done this a ton. We do this a ton. We have great systems. We have in-house vertically integrated management. We keep everything that we can in-house to make sure that things run according to the business plan. And then this deal's unfair advantages, again, you got 91 revenue units not producing income. So there's that 41 vacant park-owned homes and 50 vacant lots. So there's definite upside in this deal to easily get in and increase the value of the parks. Your rent's below market. We love this. Again, it's the same repeatable process. We love getting in with rents being under market so we can slowly but surely increase the value of the parks or the portfolio. Here's the 5 parks. You got Oxford Circle in Oxford, Alabama. You got one in Anniston, Alabama, Piedmont, Alabama, Jacksonville, Alabama, and another Anniston, Alabama. So they're all pretty close to each other. Piedmont Estates, I think, is probably a little bit of the outlier, but from Piedmont to Oxford, I'd say it's an hour drive, maybe 45 minutes. And then all the other ones are in between. Here's some pictures of the communities. They're really standard mobile home parks. So there will be some renovation in making things nicer, but not a whole ton, which we love because, again, that just one less moving part to be able to realize the business plan. And here's what we love also. We make sure that there's employment in the area, because if there's not many employers. If there's only one and they go out of business, then all of a sudden no one's making money. So there's a lot of different employers here who can ensure that all of our tenants, all of our residents have the ability to pay that rent. And then here's the mobile home park secret. You always do the Walmart test. Look for Walmarts, because Walmart does a very thorough due diligence on an area. And if they're willing to put Walmarts up, that it's pretty safe in terms of your ability for people to work and pay. So this investment, it's a $7.85 million purchase price, 283 lots across 5 parks. The hold is for 7 years. And the entire fund, where target raise is $5 million. This one's about most of that. Most of that is going to take up most of the fund. It's a $3.9 million raise just for this deal. So in this fund, we'll have another smaller deal, but it's pretty much going to be just this and another one. And then once it's raised, it's closed. So you can see for this deal, again, we're raising that 3.9, and then here's all the uses, your purchase price. So the use of the funds, your home rehab, park infrastructure, infill capital, acquisition fee goes to us, closing costs goes to closing the deal. And so the total that we'll have into that $9,276,768 projected. So a lot of people talk about trying to get good terms from banks. We look at things a different way. We look at banks as our partners in every deal. So if a bank is excited about a deal, we know that it's an exciting deal for us to do. They've seen a whole lot more than we have. And so that brings me to why another reason I'm excited about this. So we're working with Five Star Bank. We've worked with them a few times before. They're great to work with. They love this deal. They're giving us 70% loan to value. It's a 30-year amortization, 6.7% fixed term. Again, we only like fixed rates. We don't do floating. There's too much possibility for that to fail. So we only go for fixed rate loans. 2 years interest only. The note's going to be $322,000 roughly. And again, our DSCR is super high, meaning it's super safe, super easy to pay the loan payment. And you'll see sponsor alignment for what we do. And this is what we do for every deal. We do personal guarantees on all the debt. We invest our money in the deal along with you, or in the fund along with you, because we also like seeing those great returns on our money. And what we have done is we guarantee we don't get paid unless you do. So, there's a preferred return that y'all will get. Also, there are fees and whatnot in every deal. We do asset management fees to make sure we're getting paid while running the deal. Why we love having those is that, besides getting paid for what we're doing, we love that we can turn them off if a deal needs them to be turned off. Not every deal goes according to plan. If they don't go according to plan, we can shut off those asset management fees to ensure that investors get paid first. It's just what we do. It's not what we have to do. It's what we do because it's what WCG Investments does. We take care of our investor partners first. I love in this OM, we finally put a lot of different cases in scenarios. 100% cognizant of downside. We do everything we can to mitigate downside risk. And with that, we run lots of different numbers. So what does this look like if we can't do this? What does it look like if we're not performing to what we need to? What does that look like for our conservative? You're still at a 15 to 16% IRR. You're still doubling your money in 7 years. Your average cash on cash is 9.5. You're still making good money. It's not as good as we'd like, but your conservative low estimate is you're still making better money than the stock market. Our base case, which is our standard middle of the road, most likely case scenario in our business plan, is 17 to 19% IRR. Again, 2.6 to 2.81 equity multiple. So you're more than halving your money over 7 years. And we always plan for a refi around year 3 or 4 to get most, if not all, investor capital returned. And then people just stay in the deal with their same equity positions, and we all cash flow. And then when we sell, we all get a nice bump. And then upside, there's definitely room for upside here. We don't rest on the upside, but we have hit this before. It's not out of the range of possibility. At the end of the year, so many people ask us, what deals do we have? Because they're all looking, hey, I have this big tax bill coming. And the answer from us is usually, Nothing, because we don't like doing things right up to the end of the year. There's too much potential for things to go sideways. We usually don't have something. So think about what your likely tax bill is going to be and what you need to save. And then let's have that conversation now instead of in 6 months. So for this deal and for the full fund, we're projecting $1.50 in tax deductions for every dollar invested in the first year. What this means is you could save tens of thousands, if not 100,000 plus in taxes in 2026 through investing in one of our deals in this fund. What does that mean for you? If you have any questions, consult your CPA first, obviously, and then let's have a discussion so we can see how we can save you as much as possible. So risk mitigation. One of my favorite things again, but making sure that we have underwritten the downside, that we're taking account for it in case anything goes sideways. So management risk, we self-manage everything. We have our own property management company that we've developed, and we found it's the best way to make sure that these communities are running according to the business plan. Vacancy infill, there's a ton of utilities already in place. We've done it a lot, even if we don't do it, as you'll see in one of the upcoming slides. It's still a good deal. Not to say that we're not going to do it, just saying we make sure that this deal doesn't rely only on infill. So the seller's currently collecting most of the money right now. The collections are really, really strong in this portfolio. And then the market downturn, again, even if, God forbid, anything crazy happens, we are the most recession-resistant asset of all commercial real estate. And then, worst case scenario, your vacancy stays high. You're still making about 1.8x your initial investment over 7 years. It's not what we want, but it's still a good return. And then same, your rents don't grow. We're not able to raise rents for whatever reason. Your equity multiple, you're still 1.8x to 2x over 7 years. And again, it's not optimal, but it's something that we're taking into account. We're making sure that if you're putting in $100,000, $200,000, that money is protected and still growing faster than it would in other deals like stock market and whatnot. And we make sure that things are really, really safe for people. So this is the first deal in our fund, our WCG Growth Fund. We do the same thing over and over and over and over again to ensure that we're protecting people's capital, that we know what we're looking at, that we know what to do, that if things go sideways, we know how to fix them. We focus on the same strategy over and over and over again. And after this deal, we'll look for a smaller deal. We have a few in mind already that can also go into this fund that has the same strategy here. We don't do anything crazy. We love the same strategy, the same boring, repeatable strategy, because that's how we've made a ton of money for people already. So our fund overview, it's a $5 million fund. It's a 506C, meaning you have to be an accredited investor to invest. We focus on light value add mobile home parks in the South and Southeast. It's a 7-year hold. And again, we're looking for a refi to return capital around years 3 and 4. Minimum $50,000 investment. You get a 7% preferred return up to $250,000 invested. $250,000 and above, you get a 9% preferred return, and it's a 70-30 split with 70% of the deal going to the investors. The WCG Growth Fund, if you are interested in investing, here's how you learn more and how you get started with us. You can scan the QR code, and that'll take you to the documents. You just send us an email, and let's talk more so we can answer any questions you might have. Thank you again so much for joining. I can't wait to talk with y'all and hope you have a great day.